Crews blew up the main smokestack of the retired Beckjord coal plant in February. The debris was supposed to fall on land, but as you might remember, much of it fell into the Ohio River, which is the drinking water source for 5 million people. Investigative reporter Paula Christian discovers that waste from Beckjord demolitions, well, it's actually been in the Ohio River since October. Last week, the Army Corps of Engineers ordered a cleanup plan, but local officials worry the debris is contaminating drinking water.
If we acquire a house and burn it down for training for our firefighters, I have to get more permits than what are needed to demolish and implode a power plant.
It's been a frustrating year for Pierce Township Fire Chief Craig Wright. After a series of issues with the new owners of the former Beckjord coal plant, Wright says he worries that no agency is overseeing its demolition. This is where millions of tons of coal ash are being stored in unlined ponds along the Ohio River.
We just don't have the authority or the jurisdiction, and so far we've not found any agency that truly does.
Duke Energy sold the 1,400-acre site in 2018 to a Missouri company, Commercial Liability Partners. The developer is demolishing the plant to build an industrial park and port terminal. Demolition began in the spring of 2020. Because the site is still classified as a public utility, Wright says it is exempt from most local building and fire codes.
So basically what you're saying is they can do whatever they want.
Yes.
No one from Commercial Liability Partners, which owns the former Beckjord plant, would go on camera for this story. But CLP did provide a statement which says in part, our teams and our contractors have been fully engaged with local officials and regulators who have overseen major milestones and ongoing work at the site. But emails obtained by the I-team through a public records request show that local officials began complaining about large amounts of debris in the Ohio River at Beckjord in January. The Army Corps of Engineers now says this waste came from an earlier demolition in October.
We don't want drinking water contaminated. We don't want, any lasting effect.
Wright and other local officials sent photos of the debris to state and federal agencies in January. These are some of Wright's photos. In an email to the Ohio EPA on January 19th, Claremont County's Emergency Management Director writes, attached are pictures of the debris being pushed into the Ohio River at the Beckjord plant.
Nearly 3 months after local officials first complained about debris in the Ohio River at Beckjord, the Army Corps sent a compliance letter on April 15th, ordering a cleanup plan within 15 days. The Army Corps says it hopes to have the debris removed by the summer boating season.
Additional debris fell into the river on February 26th when contractors demolished Beckjord's largest smokestack. The Army Corps says 75 cubic yards of debris is now in the river from that demolition, based on what Beckjord's contractor tells them. But Chris Wessels, who owns Interstate Stack and Chimney Services, disagrees and says much more debris is actually in the river.
I would say almost the whole chimney is in that Ohio River. And whatever contamination was in that chimney that went in that river has probably been washed down the river by now.
Wessels has been repairing and demolishing industrial chimneys for more than 40 years. He says contractors asked him to bid on the demolition of the smaller smokestacks at Beckjord last spring. While he was on site, Wessels took photos and asked questions about the largest stack. He says a smokestack that tall, at more than 400 feet, in a space like that, should have been taken down over time in a controlled, piecemeal manner.
It never should have been taken down, ever, with explosives.
When he asked Beckjord contractors last spring if they had cleaned the coal fly ash and other contaminants out of the smokestack, he says he never got an answer. Fly ash is a byproduct of burning coal, which the EPA says contains contaminants such as mercury and arsenic. Under Ohio law, only asbestos is required to be removed from a chimney before demolition, which it was in this case. But the sludges built up inside chimneys may be hazardous, says environmental attorney Dave Altman.
How much are you going to allow this company to get away with without the scrutiny that it deserves.
Altman represents more than 100 New Richmond residents in a lawsuit filed in December of 2019 against CLP. It argues the developer breached a 1986 agreement with then Beckjord owner Cincinnati Gas and Electric that allegedly entitles them to more information about contaminated waste disposal.
The big deal is the same people who appear to be having these mishaps that are not regulated are the same people that control a catastrophic amount of fly ash perched on the river.
Chief Wright says he still has huge concerns about the debris in the river. This is what the site looked like on April 20th.
It's not just Claremont County's drinking water. It's, city of Cincinnati's and Hamilton counties and northern Kentucky's. It's much larger than just us.
Paula Christian, WCPO 9 I-Team.